You're listening to WXDU Durham 88.7. This is the Pinhook Podcast. We're interviewing musicians, sculptors, performers, curators, partiers, collaborators that work with the queer community to uplift the voices of marginalized folks working as artists in the greater NC area or those that are traveling through. Tune in on Fridays at 10:30 a.m. on WXCU 88.7 in Durham, North Carolina. Or find these episodes on the Pinhook Patreon or Substack. You are listening to WXDU Durham, and this is incredible music to start the podcast with. I don't know what it is. It's the band Palm, who played the Pinhook recently. It's their front of house music, so it's their like walk-on music, and that was Buzz Lightyear by Lady Leakies. I'm gonna sound so old for not knowing how to say that, but Lykez. And we're doing our interview today, so we're in here with Holly Pocket. Say hey.
Hi. How are you today?
I'm well, okay. Who's interviewing you?
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, we haven't been here. I'm doing okay. I've been easier. So I haven't been in here for about a month. But usually we do these interviews at 10:30 on Friday mornings with just people who are doing awesome stuff in the community, arts-wise, and the community being mostly Durham, but inclusive of the Triangle. And we might branch out at some point, but right now there's so much happening here that I'm just like, oh God, we could fill a year's worth of Fridays with this at least. Okay, and one cool thing that's happening is that you and Nicolette Nightmare, and I want to get there, but I also want to start with your origin. But you guys y'all are doing amazing burlesque, and have been for years.
Well, that's awesome to hear you think of it like that. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, you've been doing it at the Pinhook and other places, and they've been baller. Like the nights have been insanely cool and well attended and just great for everybody. How are you feeling about it so far?
I love it. The two of us kind of came onto the scene separately and met each other and recognized the same work ethic in one another. And Boom Boom Bathory was producing at the Pinhook at the time and gave us the opportunity to use one of her dates. And we kind of we loved it, and it's become our home base for a lot of our productions. We have produced in other places, but we just keep coming on home.
It's cool. Y'all aren't. Do either of y'all live in Durham?
No. Nicolette lives in Cary, and I live in Willow Spring, which is the tiniest town in Wake County that you could possibly live in.
Wake County has a lot of tiny towns.
It does, and Willow Spring technically is in 3 counties, and it's a township. So I don't even know if it counts as a location or if it's just the suggestion of a town.
This is a whole nother one. Who cares about borders?
Yes.
Right. And 2, it's all arbitrary.
Mm-hmm.
But it is confusing, where people live and what that means.
Oh yeah.
Especially in the Wake County. Honestly, I got to be real. That's how I feel.
It's an interesting little gray area of the world, that little zone I live in. But
did you grow up there?
I grew up in Wake County. I did. I went to Fuquay-Varina High School. So a long time ago.
Okay, did you do burlesque in Fuquay-Varina High School?
Well, no, because burlesque is an over 18 thing.
That's exactly right. I'm so sorry, everybody.
I did theater in Fuquay a lot. I was one of the theater kids, and I actually have a theater degree from UNCG. So I moved to Greensboro after high school, and then I lived in Asheville for quite some time, and I moved home about 12 years ago.
Okay, fun fact. I learned, and I try not to ask questions before the interview because I'm like, some good stuff's going to come out. And one thing that did was that you were on G105 when you were 16.
I was interviewed for singing, and then I participated in a singing contest. I was singing at the fair. They had karaoke set up, and they pulled and contacted a few people who impressed them, and I was one of them. So I sang on the radio. I did not do a good job because I was very nervous, but I've grown.
Did you meet Bob or Madison?
Yes, I did meet both of them. It was back in the day.
Was it okay?
Madison was lovely.
Okay. I just remember them having like an anti. No, they had like a straight pride march or something when I was in college, and I was like, you guys are kind of. I think it was Bob.
Here's the thing about Bob. I was also on G105 with Bob for writing a limerick in high school, which was not safe for work, and I like won a limerick contest. Bob was fun because I picked on him. I have this like, I'm a very nice person, but I like to bully bullies, and I think I honed that art in that meeting
with Bob.
Yes, and then I kind of took that on, and now I consensually bully people on stage all the time. I find that people give me consent to pick on them, and I never pick on anything you couldn't change in 5 minutes. But they give me a lot of things I could change.
That's good.
Yes.
I don't pick on anything. Okay, pull it out, folks. I don't. LOL. Pick on anything that you can't change in 5 minutes.
Yes.
So I like that.
People's clothing are my favorite because that you could change immediately, and that was a choice you made today.
Right. It's like not a part of your being.
Yes. My best moment on stage was when one of my best moments is like my favorite. I was in a show that was comedy based, and there were comics and burlesque performers, and we kind of went back and forth, and I was hosting. And one of the comics asked if I wanted to do a roast battle with her, which I immediately said yes. I was very intimidated, but we crushed it. And we invited people to come up on stage and let us roast their outfits. And this one guy comes up, and he has this like leaf print suit and these very fancy shoes on and this like super cool watch, and everything's purples and greens, and he's like an older guy.
I feel like I know that guy.
Right? I did too. I felt like I knew him too, and I let the other girl go first, and I was just like watching and observing this guy. And then when it was my turn, I said, no, you know who this guy is? This is the guy who wore this outfit because he's on Instagram with a tiny little partner who's wearing the exact same thing. Because this guy was like 6'4" or something. And coming down the aisle of the theater, this tiny human started screaming.
Way.
And when they got up to the front, they were wearing the exact same, but like a feminized version of this outfit. And I was just like, bingo. I could not have paid that couple to make me look better by sitting in the audience. But it was just like that kind of, and that was one of the moments that made me feel like, maybe I should continue doing this, because I feel like I have found like a little sweet spot where I know who I am as a performer, and I'm finding things that are fun for other people to participate in.
Wow, that's really good. So you're a theater major.
Unfortunately,
when you
very much
like
through and through.
Wow, all theater kids are like, I'm sorry.
It's like, yes, I know you could tell that before we discussed it.
All musicians are like, wow, I'm not a teenager anymore. Like it's, I feel like there's lots of really cool through lines in art. But my question was, how did you get into? I have a couple, and answer them in any order you want, because it's like, how did you get into burlesque? And let's start there.
I was a stay-at-home mom who had a theater degree and a lot of energy inside of me that I needed to pour into myself again. I needed an identity outside of my house. And I was making costumes. When I was at UNCG, we had to do like work study. We had to pick a shop and do certain classes in there, and I stuck in the costume department because I was not trying to build set, and I was not trying to electrocute myself trying to make the lights. I knew where my limits were. So
you can tell a light person.
Yeah, I was just like that's probably
crazy.
Not for me, and probably safety wise not for everyone else either. So I spent a lot of time in the costume shop. I developed a lot of costume related skills, and I was putting them into my kids, and Halloween is once a year, and it was just, I wanted to fulfill myself in some way. So I reached out to another burlesque performer in the area, and I asked her if there was a need for costuming. And I started offering myself as a costume embellisher, creator to performers in the area. And pretty soon my personality kind of created a name for me more than my costuming did. And well, I mean, it's not like my costuming was bad, but I have this kind of outgoing bubbliness about me, and I found out that that's what they look for in hosts.
Oh, wow.
So hosts are more outgoing people that can think on the fly, that are interesting to talk to and listen to. But I feel like the best hosts also have to have an understanding of like how to connect to people and be on the fly and improvise. And I mean, I have improv training from theater. I also I double majored in psychology, and then I went on to get my grad degree in counseling. So I have a understanding of how people work. I feel like I used to work in counseling before I was a mom. And so I feel like all of that kind of just created this persona that one of the burlesque performers invited me to host a show. And I hosted my first show, just the second half of it, kind of to ease myself in, and it went really well. And from that point on, I just kind of kept going. And I'm more so a host than the performers that I've been in shows where I'm not the host. I've been hired as a performer before, but I tend to be the person on the microphone, the ringmaster of the booby circus, because everyone around me is bringing this individual art form to the table. It's a once art piece. Like they might do that act again, but this show as itself will never happen again. Once in a lifetime. And I am the conductor of that. Like I start from the beginning to the end, organizing the whole entire thing. And I think that the other part that made me want to be a host is I was a fan. So I feel like the best hosts in the industry are people that are the biggest, thirstiest fan in the room for what's going on stage. And I consider myself part of the audience. I consider myself like friends with all of the audience. And we're all witnessing this amazing spectacle together. And I'm in a dialogue with them. So that's kind of, I'm a long-winded answer to how I got into it.
I feel like that's beautiful in many ways. And two things, one reason I want to ask that question is because I feel like one thing that is hard for people who aren't, I'm going to say like, who aren't like entitled or like told that they're going to do great things or whatever, maybe you were, but like, it's that getting into things is really tough. And I hear this a lot in like scenes, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. And I think people call things scenes because they're hard to get into, they're hard to penetrate, but there are ways, and I want to ask people who have made their like sort of splash in a scene to like be like, yo, go back to your roots. Like, how did you get in there? Like, what's the accessibility? What's it like? What can we do better? Blah, blah, blah. But like the thing that you said about one, being a big fan and showing up, I feel like really resonates with like music and across art forms. It's like, just go, 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 go. And then two, ask, like, be like, how can I help? How can I be in? Where do I fit in? Blah, blah, blah. And then just move in from there and be persistent. Like, it just looks, a lot of times it just looks like uninviting, like it's like, well, how do you do it? Because there's gatekeepers and blah, blah, blah. But the other side of that is that performers and hosts and people who book things are just really busy.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a labor of love. And Absolutely. So you have to be persistent. Am I right?
Somebody actually asked yesterday on Facebook, a performer, like, how do producers get into the industry and what are they looking for and all of that. And I was just like, the one thing you need to know about a producer is that this is not something you're doing to make $1,000. This is something that you are doing because you love it and you want to create an environment that is safe for other performers that you love. And I even said, like, I make money in other people's shows and then I invite them to make money in mine. So
totally.
It is to do this, especially to produce. You have to love it. You have to be able to donate your time. You have to be able to donate occasionally productions or pay for productions that you're not really making money for because you love it. And I think Nicolette and I, the other thing I told that person was that, like, you need to have a mission statement. And at the beginning of all of this, Nicolette and I, our mission statement was to create an environment where people from different groups in the burlesque community felt safe to all come together and perform. We didn't want like a cliquey feel to it. We wanted a unifying feel to it. And we wanted to make sure that our performances were inclusive, that they invited new performers to be part of shows, that they helped teach people that were like getting into the industry. We'll invite them to be kittens, which are like the people who collect the money and things like that. So I feel like that's been part of our mission from the beginning, is to just create an environment where people feel invited and where they feel like they can be successful and show who they are.
You can get that. What time is it?
Time to water my plants. I have ADHD real bad, and if I don't tell myself to water my plants, those poor plants will die.
This is another thing. I'm like, okay, so we've had like 7 episodes at this point, and we're gonna have a bazillion more hopefully. But I'm like, one common denominator of these performers and like self sort of like employed people is that we are all pretty ADHD.
Oh my gosh.
So we're
yes.
like, okay, yeah, please be consistent when you're asking us for stuff, and then like seriously, please be consistent.
And then maybe text me so I can reference that later.
But try like one form of communication.
Yes.
Please don't do 5.
Yes, like make sure. And I'll tell you, I'll reread somebody's text so many times. But you mentioned something about like feeling successful and coming out of like a pool in the community to kind of propel yourself. And I thought about something that I would say to a new performer and something that I've kind of seen. I noticed that like a lot of people that come onto the scene want to do everything. They want to sing and fling, which is like burlesque and singing. They want to do this kind of burlesque and that kind of burlesque. And they want to be available to be in every show. They want to be everything. And I think that that's really great. And that gives you the opportunity to be in a lot of things. But I think once you figure out who you are as a performer and you really lean into that, you will find that it polishes the performance because you know who you are. You know, like how you interact with an audience or what you do on stage. And I feel like the best performers, in my opinion, are the ones who like figure out exactly what their brand is. And then they just really lean heavily into that. I think it's much... As a producer, I think it's much more exciting to be like, okay, this person works really, really, really well for this show. Instead of like, well, that person can do lots of anything, but like none of them is their specialty. It makes it hard for for a producer to remember you. Mm-hmm. So like a specialty is a good thing. A gimmick is always a good thing if you're performing. But like having a well-established persona that people know what you're all about, they know your brand. They could be at a store and see something and be like, ooh, that's Nicolette Nightmare coded, you know, because they know that artificial person as a real person.
Yeah.
And I feel like drag does that too a lot. Like we have drag performers in our shows often, and we advertise ourselves as drag and burlesque. And I think that the best drag performers, the ones that are known for like RuPaul's Drag Race and even the local ones, are the ones that you think of that as a complete person and you can see something in the world and it reminds you of that person that somebody invented.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I really hear that. Yeah, that's advice. That's advice from a well-seasoned burlesque producer, performer, and host here. So just take that. Think about it if you want to get into... I mean, I think it's pretty good advice across the board. It's like... Yeah. I don't like the way that capitalism promotes like branding. So I'm not, and I know this can be like akin to that, but it is just about, it is about like getting in where you fit in, I guess. It's like, there are other ways to say that. It's like, you know, being able to tell people what you do and who you are, you know.
I love when I see a performer that I've seen for a few years because like I feel like it happens to all of us. We kind of all come onto the scene not knowing exactly who we are or kind of having an idea of who we want to be. And then 2-3 years down the road, you see that person emerge as who they are, as that character or performer or persona or whatever you want to call it. Like Holly Pocket is not my government name, but Holly Pocket is a persona, and that is a person. And she has grown. She has become a very specific personality too. And when I first came on the scene, I just wanted to be professional. I just wanted to be hireable, somebody you could count on, somebody that would be where they needed to be, do what they needed to do, didn't have to be worried about, because that was like the professionalism I brought from theater school. And pretty soon I realized that Holly was a goober and that her silliness was something that audiences liked and resonated with, and it made a connection. Like if I'm silly and jokey and establish who I am from the very beginning, we kind of have like a rapport. And I've also like... I think that part of me grew when I was kind of early on coming out onto stages where the audience wasn't really digging a burlesque show yet. Maybe they hadn't had enough to drink. Maybe they came to the favorite bar of theirs and they didn't know this was happening. And I realized I was like, I have to win these people over. And a big thing that I'm known for is the mother of dad jokes. So, like, if you're not into a dad joke at the beginning, you might not really love what I've got going on, but I'll win you over by the end.
All right, give us a dad joke. I really want it. Just right in the middle, just right now.
How do astronomers have a party? First, they plan it. right. But in the right environment and in the right time. And if like somebody had just done an astronomer act, that would have killed.
Yeah.
So
No, totally.
it's all about
Also,
like
your confidence with dad jokes too, like which I call rad jokes. Just
as long as you like put a waka waka at the end, like if I know it's really bad, if I acknowledge that it's bad. But the thing is like I try to establish we're here, we're having a good time. I'm gonna be silly, you're gonna be silly.
Yeah.
And nowadays the worst challenge that I have is just wrapping it up so that the next performer can get on stage.
Yeah, that's super real. Do you have a sign or something?
It's Nicolette Nightmare glaring at me from the side of the audience and pointing to her watch.
Okay, yeah, not so subtle, but really.
No,
yeah,
we
really
are
efficient.
a very good team in that we both come to the table like filling in the gaps of the other person. And she's very like down to earth and like connected, and I can be kind of whimsical. So people have called us like Cogsworth and Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast, where I'm like, welcome to my show, everyone. I would like you to meet all of my friends. And she's like, let's wrap up the time. You're 5 minutes over. We have to end this at 10. So
how did y'all meet, you and Nicolette, and also when?
We were both in the same, it was the first burlesque show I did to the whole entire show from start to finish. It was called Sweet 16. It was in 2013. It was like
2013.
No, 2023. So sorry. And it was this big difference. It was a 16-year anniversary of Raleigh Burlesque. So I hosted and Nicolette was one of the kittens. And we met that day, but we also like saw in each other that day the same work ethic. And that we were not like there to have a good time. We weren't there because we were like artists that had to express this moment right now. We were both there to work. And we both liked that about each other. And kind of like, it very much started with just a recognition of the same work ethic. And then we kind of realized we both wanted the same thing, which was like an environment where there was an open, welcome feeling to all performers that were in our area. And so we built that. We didn't always do awesome in the beginning. We learned a lot, but here we are 3 years later, still producing shows, still really enjoying working with each other, and still kind of like acknowledging it's a really good fit of I'm technologically not great. The Google Forms we use, those are all Nicolette Nightmare, but I'm the person who would do a radio interview, you know?
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be a very big comfort zone. A lot of burlesque performers are introverts.
Whoa.
Very.
No way.
It's fascinating.
Is that true with like theater and like your experience? Okay, yeah, that's not my experience. With theater kids
it's
either.
not theater because think about it, burlesque performers aren't talking.
Uh-huh.
So if there's a kid out there doing like a soliloquy, that's not usually an introvert.
Uh-huh.
But the people in the backstage of a burlesque show sometimes are silent. And I have told multiple of them, I'm like, I'm so fascinated by this huge drastic change of this person who does not talk in any social situation and the almost Jack Black-like character that I just watched. Like, that's a huge, huge change. And it's so interesting to watch.
Will you explain what burlesque is without using one of the 7 words? And can we do a quick, I can't believe that the 7 words you can't say on the air.
I told myself,
I'm going to have with body parts generally.
No problem saying those 7 words you can't say on the air. And then I got to the last word on that list, and it starts with a T and it ends with pits. And I could not believe, or rhymes with pits, that I couldn't say that word because that's a word I say a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of your job.
It's a big part of my job. I'm going to use the word boobies instead. But yeah, I can't believe I was fascinated when I read that, and I'm working really hard not to say it.
Definitely, good job. And okay, so define if you can.
Oh yeah, burlesque.
Yeah.
In my opinion, burlesque is an art form that involves reveal and stripping of clothing, but also incorporates tease, anticipation, and performance in a way that makes it unique. Does that make sense?
I think it does. Yeah,
really
it's
tried to piece
general,
that
which is
together.
good because I think we need to like, who knows what Big Brother is listening.
Oh,
but
and there are so many different like facets of burlesque that like we could talk about all the different styles and everything. But in all reality, it's a tease. Almost all of them, I would say, need to be a tease. That's kind of the main point. And it's a reveal and it's a process. So like, and it is art, and every form of it is art.
is there a lot of are there politics involved? Like,
Yes.
is there like to what you produce or what you incorporate? Is it queer oriented? Is it all sorts of things? Do you like challenge a typical notion of burlesque or?
I think that burlesque is, and like it's just automatically queer to begin with. Like that's just part of it. If you were to interview burlesque performers, you would find that majority of them are queer. I find that there are a lot of politics also when it comes to like, just like any job, you have to work with certain people or like watch out for this person doesn't work with this person. So make sure you think about that and make sure you're creating a safe environment for people. So you have to kind of know the backstory of the people that you're working with or talk to them. We, Nicolette and I, have part of our mission to make our shows as diverse as possible. So we make it our mission to like when we're doing our application process to incorporate diversity as much as we can, and that can be like racial diversity, that can be body diversity, that can be queer expression diversity, and that can also be just the style of burlesque. We try to bring classic performers like neo performers, the goth performers, and we try to put all of that in sometimes into the same show, which is why we try to take these like broad party like themes. Like our next show next Friday on the 31st at the Pinhook is ocean themed, and we liked that theme because then we can have a goth vampire on the beach. We can go into and have a club performer who's doing an anglerfish. That's right, that's how you say that.
Yep.
And we can have
as a nature queer, yes,
thank you. And then we can have a classic performer who's doing a mermaid, and I'm going to be rainbow fish, which is the gayest fish. So if you are in the audience, you might receive a scale because that's how rainbow fish rolls. I that's kind of how we've done it, is like make these big broad things that are fun, that are almost like the theme that you would have at a college party. And that way the audience can participate too. They can show up in costume, and a lot of times we have costume contests.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How do you come up with this theme is great. And how do you come up with your themes? Like what? Do you have like a list? Do you have like a Google Doc or a Google Doc?
There's a notes list in my phone for sure. This is where my like neurodivergence comes to play, as bringing things to the table, because I'm full of ideas. The problem is too many ideas. So I will like send my idea list to Nicolette, and she will be like, okay, here's 3 that I love. And sometimes we even just ask the venue, hey, which one sounds the most exciting to you as far as like the people that come?
That's awesome. It's get yourself a foil, people. That's what this whole it's like, get yourself somebody who like complements your characteristics is what this sounds like.
I would not recommend producing alone. And if you decide to produce, I would highly recommend finding somebody who brings something to the table that you don't, because then you have a complete system.
So what's been your experience doing burlesque in this area, and have you done it outside of the triangle? And I think one thing we're trying to do with this sort of podcast is like be like or interview or whatever you call it, is be like, we're in the South, we're queer, and that is like a norm. A lot of people are queer in the South, and I've found that saying that outside of the South especially, people are like, whoa, how is it for you? I'm like, actually lots of things, but honestly Oregon feels really hard too sometimes. Like it's like there's a big queer South and we're here. And so I'm curious, what does it feel like for you if you've done burlesque outside of the triangle, in the triangle? Like, just how's it been?
I've been to other states. So Tennessee has harsher laws than we do.
Mm-hmm.
We have these things called blue laws, and those are like the laws that tell us what limits we can do, like what we're allowed to show, what we're not allowed to show. Tennessee's laws are way more strict than ours.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, hardcore. And like I've performed in Richmond before. Richmond's awesome. It's kind of close to DC, so I find I can make a lot more political jokes over there and they land. And here I have made political jokes where people have gotten up and left before. And I was surprised.
In the Triangle.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, we're at a gay bar. I thought, okay. But I try to keep away from that because I don't want whoever produced the show to lose out on like ticket money or whatever because of some joke that I made on stage. But I've also found that just being openly in a queer scene and working in a queer environment has made me receive backlash, like socially. Working in this industry safety wise is something to consider, as far as there are people that seek to perform violence on people who are openly queer, performing queerly, and or like speak in a way that is happy on stage with LGBTQ performers behind them. So I found that like I've had to kind of separate my performer life from my like personal life a lot, just to kind of protect my family and make sure that there's not backlash that comes on to like kids. But as far as like being out in the world as a performer, I'm genuinely feel like it's safe, it's encouraging. We're in these little pockets where we are okay and where we're celebratory. Like we're all kind of being ourselves in a way that is joyful and happy and encouraging. I find that the shows are like the safest place to be if you are queer, because you are surrounded by people who love you and understand the environment. And I have found that venues have been really protective too.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I don't want to harp on it too much, but I do know that like I think of burlesque and drag as political inherently in the same way as punk can be political. And not all genres are that way, but burlesque was born out of that in a way, to be like reclaiming of bodies, right? And like, or this is like my body, I'm showing you my body and I'm joyful about it.
And burlesque is so old.
It's so old.
It has been happening for a long time.
Yeah. And I also, and tell me if I'm misconceiving this notion of burlesque, please. But it's one of those genres like punk, I think, that is like not, I mean, it's inherently queer, but it's not always inherently perceived as queer.
Yes.
And so like being in a queer bar is helpful, I'm sure, but also like there are like cis straight folks, and yay, we all love everyone who loves, right? But it's like sometimes can be like, okay, it's not just like when it's like I play country music and I feel this like sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I'm playing country music. Like who's going to be here? Like it's not just like all of my queer friends. It's like lots of different people.
And sometimes when I travel, I see that like I'll be in another city where I am like comfortable with my gay bar venue, and then I get there and I'm like, there is a large number of cis men here. And I'm very confused. And I'm like, oh, we're in a tourist town. Oh, this is a bachelor party. So like
totally.
It does change when you go to different places.
Yeah. But being in queer spaces, I assume, probably really helps too. You're just like the space, like you were saying. It's like the safest place. Yeah.
And I don't remember that sometimes I might need to like prep the audience.
Yeah.
For things. I'm like, oh yeah, this was gonna be sorry. Not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Burlesque is old. You are not. But you met Nicolette in Raleigh, you were saying?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys have been doing this for how long?
3 years.
Okay. What's it like? What's the scene like in the Triangle?
What do you mean?
Like, are there a lot of other burlesque producers?
Oh, yeah. And there's like up to 400 performers in this area.
Serious?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
We could have a show every weekend. We just would need the audience.
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of people that are excited about burlesque? Like, are there a lot of people that are like, how's the crowd?
We have a fan base, and then we have a collection of people who are there for the first time or came with somebody else and is like new. But I find that like our solid fan base or people that love burlesque makes up a good percentage of our audience.
Mm-hmm. How do you find? I wish I had water for you.
Oh, that's fine. It's warm in here.
I'm really learning how to be a podcast host. How do you find performers generally? And do you need a break?
I'm fine. Usually we find performers through we have like application processes that we'll put out, or some shows we will just handpick people. We will decide like, oh, this show we have enough people we know that could really put this together.
Cool. We are going to take a quick break. It's been about 30 minutes, and we're going to play some music that we were playing before from the Palm front of house. Palm is a really sick band. They played all over the Triangle, but and everywhere. They're national, and they have front of house music that is also awesome. And sometimes touring artists come through and they will leave their playlist, and this is awesome. I find so much good new music from it. But we're gonna play that real quick, take a quick water break, and then come back to you. We are here with Holly Pocket of Pocket Nightmare Productions, awesome burlesque that has many shows coming up. One in particular is called Tease the Seas, and it is
on July 31st at the Pinhook, and it's at 8:00.
Awesome. I should know that, but now I do. And now you do too. Here we go. All right. You're listening to WXDU. We're back with Holly Pocket, and we are going to wrap it up with one of my favorite questions, which is, who are some of your favorite performers, burlesque or otherwise, that inspire you?
Okay. So I really love Jinx Monsoon. That is a performer. I love Jinx for so many reasons, but just the recognition of like a theater kid who has made it is always something that like chokes me up a lot. But also because Jinx came onto the scene unapologetically herself. And she used that, and now she's on Broadway. And like just to watch somebody have loyalty to themselves and who they are as a performer, and like believe in that so much that they hone in on it and stick to it to the point where it takes them to the most success. That I feel like Broadway is like kind of the dream for all performers, even if we quietly just keep that in our hearts and it's like embarrassing. But she did it. And I feel like Madeline Kahn like influenced a lot of my style. Just kind of like the goofy glamour gal who can be silly while wearing like a Marcel wave. Do you know what I mean? And I
actually don't know what a Marcel wave is, but
that's that like hairstyle that's kind of 19, you know what I mean?
Okay, cute.
And I feel like they're also Amy Poehler. Amy Poehler as a performer. Amy is such a strong feminist and taught me as a performer who does comedy that you can look ugly and be female. And that's something that Amy does a lot, and she talks about it. I've heard her talk about it in interviews, is like women in comedy tend to be afraid to look not cute. And Amy was never afraid to not be cute, and it made her funnier and made her unapologetic, and I love
is
that.
So cute
and like, very cute. She's never stopped being cute. She just wasn't afraid to like have something on her face or do something that was a little gross or do something that wasn't flattering, and I feel like that I respect that so much.
So cool. Oh god, I love that. It makes me want to go watch Amy Poehler now. All right, well, thanks for coming in. And
thank you.
Is there anything you want to rep? Please, one more time?
Yes. Oh, please come to Tease in the Seas on July 31st, because for the first time ever, Pocket Nightmare Productions has paid to fly a performer to our state to perform for us.
Wow.
It is the Shrimp Cocktail, who lives in Cleveland. She kind of went viral this past year because she realized that Dr. Frankenfurter and Dr. Thornberry, the dad from the Wild Thornberries, were both Tim Curry. and she blended those into one character. You should see it on her Instagram. It's phenomenal.
Who is it again? Shrimp?
Shrimp Cocktail is her name. There's this big burlesque festival in Asheville every year called the Land of the Sky Burlesque Festival, and I love it. They bring in performers from all over the country. I go to meet people I would never meet before and see things I would never see elsewhere. And I met and saw Shrimp Cocktail there and was blown away by her performances. And I kind of themed this show ocean themed, hoping that it would entice her to come be part of it. And it worked.
Yes, good job.
So please come to Teas in the Seas on July 31st so you can see me, Nicolette Nightmare, a bunch of really awesome performers from this area, and somebody that we flew in.
That's so cool. And me is Holly Pocket.
I'm Holly Pocket.
That's not me, but that's you. And this has been I forget what we're calling this. I think we're calling it the Pinhook Podcast. But it's just a sort of radio hour that we want to highlight really dope people doing really dope things in our queer community here in Durham and in the Triangle and eventually beyond. So thanks for coming. You're amazing from that little spot of Wake County that you came from. And can't wait to go to the show.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.